Lots of congoing rats.
20 minutes. It's taken me 20 minutes to get this thing even somewhere potentially functional. Oh, good morning, everybody. Well, afternoon. How's it going? I'm still not entirely sure what this company is thinking when they made this. The way they do their software now, their drivers and stuff. I mean, your thing shouldn't lose all of its settings just because you update the driver. And I think the previous driver shouldn't stop working. Right? I mean, that's what I've been told. Maybe I'm just, screwy and not like that, but that's what I was told. Okay. Of course, the talk show one's in the background. And yeah, everything's borked now. Alright, so yep. I'm Guthron, and my camera is a little weird right now because I lost the software interface that gives me better control over it, so let me go ahead and bring in Cellist Mike. Say hello, Cellist Mike.
Hello, Cellist Mike. How are you doing?
You're a little crackly.
Oh, sorry about digitally crackly, or my voice is crackly?
Digitally. It's your mic. It's your mic. If it was your voice, I'd tell you to drink some water. I think it's just you're a little too hot at some point. The only time anyone's ever going to tell you that, remember?
Let's try this again. Is that better?
Yeah, just don't get really loud.
Alright. I can turn my mic down as well.
You do what you need to do. Makes no difference. Oy. So, I need to know what mods you've added. If we're going to play with mods.
I mean, as long as...
I mean, I've already got the settings are the previous ones when we were just playing with just the multiplayer.
Well, as long as you're subscribed to them, when you try to join, it should prompt you to load them. So I don't have to tell you them. They should just load.
Okay. I'm trying. Okay, make sure you're... So... No, that's... mod list. I'm not going to try to remember this.
No.
Why would I try to remember this when I can just snap a picture?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought it would just let you accept it.
No, it's... I don't know, it's... No, it's not. Let me add them on. So hugs lib.
Oh, it gave you a snapshot of the mod list?
Yeah, your list next to my list.
Oh, okay.
Like, where are you? Hugs. Hugs, wherefore art thou? Oh, this isn't the right... I know why this is. I'm turning on mod manager.
Yeah.
Where'd you go, mod manager?
Probably with the M's.
No, it's the no mods at all on thing. So it's this random massive list. There, I think based on when I subscribed.
Gotcha.
No, I should usually add.
So I really like the idea of your hat. When I first saw you wearing that hat on stream, because having the light above me, as important as it is to have that light above me, my shiny bald head would always reflect, and I didn't like that. And so I'd been looking for a hat, and I finally found a nice Fallout one that works for me. And it came in, so I went to pick it up before we started today.
I was wondering why you said Fallout cap, and I was a little curious. He says,
"Oh, because in Fallout caps are the currency."
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, you're still a little hot.
I can turn myself down.
Well, just try. Well, I mean, it's got causing that digital breakup. That's all. Okay. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
So you don't want me to mess with it at all?
I think your gain may be a little hot.
I don't have any gain on this.
It's a USB.
No.
Well, your all mics have gain.
Yes, but the preamp gives all of that. There's no software gain. There's no software.
You can't. Yeah, but that's what I mean. You can't control it with your preamp.
Well, it's output volume. I mean, you could call it gain, but it's output volume.
Yeah. Hey, look at that. There's the game right over top of my head.
Nice.
I'll put so there. It's back there. Ooh, something's wrong. It's crackly and everything. I think that's you talk. Yeah, I'm getting all kinds of interference on your end. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like it switched to where you're talking was all garble crackle like that.
Is it any better now?
Yes.
Okay. So I completely unplugged the preamp from the computer and plugged it back in.
No, there it is again. Are you moving something?
Yeah, I was moving the preamp.
Okay, well that was what was causing the sound. What happened?
Is it still there or is it good?
Oh no, the crackly, I think it was just when you were moving it. So as soon as you stopped moving it, it went away. I don't did Mod Manager get removed? Like entirely? I never removed it, but for some reason it's not in.
If it's not there, then it's you just unsubscribed from it.
I never did. I haven't opened this game in a while, but
Then it's just hidden in there somewhere. Or you downloaded it from a third-party site, not Steam, and so it's not on
no,
Steam,
I only download things from Steam.
except for
The multiplayer.
one.
No, not anymore. I think I've switched over to that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just I'm still subbed to it.
Then it's just hidden.
But where?
It's hiding in that list somewhere.
Huh.
Or it's an update that you haven't been able to download yet. That's another reason why it wouldn't be there.
Every single time they update some of this content, every time I finish playing a game, I look over and I see there's a new a completed download, and I flip over to it, and it's Rimworld Steam or Workshop content.
I'll regularly go through and read what the updates are, and maybe half or even more often, half the time or more often, they don't even give any update details. It's just says something along the lines of patch.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Freaking dog in this one. Can we kill it?
I guess I don't care. All right. Oh, what a day.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you go into detail about just what's made it such a fantastic day for you.
And more like a sequence of days and events. I'll go into that once we get this stupid thing figured out.
All right.
Okay. Now, let's see. Hugs. No, not on that side. On this side. On this side. On this side. Okay, so Hugs Lib is there. Oh, I'm gonna have to remove this one because Mod Manager should be fine. I don't think it's. I've had that active when you haven't had it before, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, I do have it on the list anyway, though. It's just not showing up for you for whatever reason.
More harvest.
That was the more harvest designators was one of them that I thought I was like, it's it's such a quality of life mod. It almost feels make or break because cutting trees without it is a pain, just a massive pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
Because you have to go to every single individual tree to check to see if it's mature or not.
Yeah. But being able to mark things only cut when necessary, or when fully grown.
When it's fully grown, yeah. Is huge.
And
and
you do have
blight.
You do have mod manager to just sit at the bottom. Okay. Once more into the breach we go. It's just how we needed to start today.
It's okay. It wouldn't be a PTSD stream, or it wouldn't be a multiplayer Rimworld stream either way, if not for tech difficulties. Since I was, early teens, maybe a little bit before, I think maybe third or fourth grade is when I started doing local area network gaming, LAN gaming. But there is never, from then until now, there has never been a time where things just worked when they're supposed to. Anytime you try to play a multiplayer game,
simulating.
Always problems.
Mm-hmm. Usually with syncing.
Yeah. Well, with Rimworld multi, it's syncing, yeah. But I tried to make sure that I didn't touch any mods that could cause desync. So like Rim HUD is not there. The Animals logic is not there. Just very, very, even stuff that I want, that I love, like the VGP, the vegetable garden stuff, the VGP mods, the autopsy mods, those are not there. The only things I put in were like the camera plus, the more harvest designators, the invisible lighting or the invisible power, because that zit is such a trigger for us, for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see if this thing's gonna cooperate.
All right. Yeah.
I suppose since I'm on the
stream side.
No, I'm on green screen. Because of that stupid camera, I have to adjust everything.
Oh yeah.
So I have to go into studio mode and go to the game thing, make the cam banner disappear. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about the height, I don't think. Not without making myself go blind trying to see it.
The height of the camera, what do you mean the height?
Oh, well, more along the lines of, do you see how low I don't know if you're looking at the stream.
Oh, yeah.
But do you see how low I am sitting?
In terms of the webcam placement on the screen?
No, well, just in the camera, where the picture a rectangle around me. Me and the camera.
Okay.
You see how? Do you see how?
The camera is pointed.
If I tip it up if I tip it down even a little because of it, I think.
Oh, that's good. You tipped it down and it looks better.
Hold on, I need to look at.
Yeah, that looks better. I think you should let it stay the way that it is. And so you're not
trying to figure out what that is. What the heck is that thing down there next to me?
Just leave it.
There's a thingy.
Just leave it.
I am. I'm closing. I had to get back out of studio mode.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, nothing here. It's not over here. It's over.
Yeah, this dog's
there it is. It was the Echo Dot that we got for 99 cents. I found it. It was the box. What's in the box? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I need to reacquaint myself with these people. Who are you?
We have played so little of this.
Yeah, we haven't made it very far.
Yeah, this is...
So Phil is our animal planter. Pepe is our doctor miner.
Yeah, we've had one raid. One person came and they're in a grave right now.
Pablo is he's our thinker and our builder. Great. Who's firing? It's gotta be
Somebody's
Pepe.
hunting turkeys.
Turkeys. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. So, have you tried out the crash scenario?
I have not.
Well, we should.
Other than this game right here, all I've done was that Twitch Toolkit game.
Yeah, we need to work on your settings there, so that they work properly. It's so baffling why your coins. I know. From what I could see, it looked like you had it set exactly right. So why it wasn't handing out coins is.
It's mind-boggling. Just crazy. Yeah. Okay. No more puppy.
No more puppy. No puppy for you.
Where is it?
She's been bitten to death.
For everybody who's watching, I think we do have a couple of people that are watching right now. Just one or two.
You have to assume that there are people watching. Just talk like there are.
Exactly. When there are dogs in Rimworld, dogs will not eat. They will not hunt for their own food. They will not graze. Like eat plants, berries, stuff that grows around the map. You have to make kibble, and the kibble has to be made with food that your people need. So essentially, if you have a domesticated dog, whether it be this was a golden lab, or whether it be a Yorkshire Terrier, the domesticated dogs in this game take away from your own food supply, your colonist's food supply, and I hate that. I hate that with a passion.
They are beyond a shadow of a doubt the most useless. Dogs are just the most useless, and this is why when I do toolkits, they can.
And they'll rescue and stuff.
But because you have to feed them constantly.
Yeah.
This is why when I watch players who have toolkit going on and someone is dumb enough to send them a bunch of dogs, I'll spend my coins buying kibble all the time so they have a massive supply.
Well, yeah. I mean, you saw yesterday how I dealt with the boom rats and the dogs that got sent, the Yorkies that got sent to me. Slaughtered them all for meat.
You done blew them up. Oh, there's a package. There's meals. Pablo, what are you doing? Smoothing floor?
Oh, did we miss those?
They're just sitting in the water.
Oh, dang.
I got Pablo going to get them.
Okay.
It's a long walk.
Been there since we landed.
Yeah. Talk. I'm going to go check something with the bot.
Okay. So it's been a while since we did our PTSD stream. You'll have to excuse me. I may have to mute here in a second for some more hacking. I have been away with pneumonia. I swear there's always something that comes up. This time it was pneumonia, which was absolutely fun. I still have crap that I'm trying to get out of my lungs, but I have 2 days left on my antibiotic. They pumped me full of steroids. I was in the hospital for a little bit. They pumped me full of steroids. I've got albuterol to help let me actually be able to breathe. My blood ox level was so low, like my lungs were just barely working. It was terrible. So, yeah. But I'm one of those people that I won't go to the doctor for right away for normal sicknesses, like things that happen all the time that they can't really do anything about. For example, if you get a cold, colds are viral. And I mean, you could do like Theraflu. There's a couple antivirals that kind of sort of work, but they usually only use those for super severe cases. So if it's just a normal cold, if it's just a normal flu, I'll usually just try to tough it out, just try to make sure I get lots of liquids, lots of sleep. That's what they tell you to do anyway. But if something like that starts getting really bad, then I'll go to the doctor. And in this case, it seemed like it was a bacterial infection rather than a viral infection. So they gave me some antibiotics.
He was sick.
Yeah, that seemed to have really, really worked.
It was disgusting.
It was rough. I mean, I could only sleep for maybe like 2 hours at a time, and I could only sleep in like a very specific position, or else, you know, I would have to just cough, 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 cough. I could barely breathe. It was rough.
Whoa.
But yeah.
Pablo lost an intellectual point.
So, if you may have forgotten, but as they train stuff, if it doesn't get used, it lowers. So they have a baseline that it won't go below the baseline. It's like what they start with, it won't go lower than that. But when they train, any training that bumps it up, it's a temporary bump. So if it had been up because he was doing research, for example, and he hasn't been doing research lately, then it'll start going back down.
I was going to say something, but I forgot what it was.
We were talking about sickness. I was talking about why we haven't been, or why
Like you haven't been.
PTSD. Yeah.
I've had several streams without you.
Yeah. Let's see. 2 weeks ago, I was just asleep. Last week was pneumonia. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit over a week now that I've been.
Well, I think let me check the calendar. I guess it was the 14th was, depending on where you are, Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day. And I wouldn't. Yeah, it was either that. I'm pretty sure it was that. I didn't stream that day.
Okay.
Because I went out to the state fair and subjected myself to people.
So that may have been. Yeah, so that may be why it's been like 4 weeks, because there's the 2 weeks where it was on me. Then if there's been the 1 week when it was on you, then that would explain it.
I streamed last week. We talked. I had a couple people, and we talked about a couple different things.
Okay.
We ended up talking a lot about education and stuff like that because we had someone who was nervous about going back to school.
Oh yeah, I could have spoken to that.
So.
I mean.
There's a boom rat.
Yeah, you don't know until you try. But just because it takes motivation, but it takes more than motivation too.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, we have a second pile of. I'll mark it.
The second pile of what?
Of packaged survival meals.
Those don't have to be in the freezer.
Well, no, I mean, I just that they weren't marked as. They were. What's the term? Allowed. They were allowed.
Oh.
Stop it, dog. No, it's his stupid claws. He has this. He's just not aware of them at all. He'll like when we first get up. I'm not wearing shoes, and he'll stretch as he's kind of coming closer, and then his claws will just get right into my toes, and it hurts. And now he's sleeping down here, and even though it's I like having him sleep here, but he cannot stay back under the desk. He constantly moves closer in on my feet, and he's completely ignored me, the training I had with him not to touch the foot pedal. He is constantly touching the foot pedal. And I think it's because he's figured out that if he hits the foot pedal, I have to interact with him. Because I have to move him. I can't not work. I can't just ignore it and keep working, because if he lays on it just right, I can't tell you how many times I've come back to the after he started messing with it. He laid down on my foot or blah blah blah, and I managed to get him off and moved him someplace else, and came back and found that he had fast forwarded the cut all the way to the end. And so then I wasn't sure where I was, so then I had to go back and find it.
Oh my word. Okay, so this wasn't a desync. My game just crashed.
Uh-oh.
Build a crash report that I could send to Tynan if I really wanted. I'm not going to do that.
Okay, I saved a replay.
Cool. I'll let you load it up then.
Well, I mean, nothing happened. The game essentially just paused. It was paused.
Oh, yeah. I can load it. Oh, wait a minute.
It did do a save.
It's an update. There's an update, which is why... Hang on.
I'll quit to the main menu for now.
Where is Rimworld? At least that's what it said when I tried to load. It said there's an update, but it says it's still running. Control delete. Game crashed, but it still thinks it's running.
Yeah, I had that problem with OBS earlier. It crashed, and I went to start it up again. There's an instance of it already running, and if you tell it to go okay, even though you know there's not one, then it will just keep the mythical extra one running, and just you can tell this because the system just goes bonkers.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this again. There we go.
That's what she said.
Oh, so I watched the clips that you put up. In terms of like my favorite word, I think is fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. They're not really my favorite words. It's that my favorite words aren't child friendly.
I don't even remember the clip now.
I don't. Yeah, it's just something about. Oh, that's fantastic. Something couldn't hear.
Did I put them in the Discord?
Yeah. Let's try this again. Arbiter is not in. I don't care if anybody hears. That's just fantastic.
Oh, it wasn't saying that there was the joke wasn't that you were saying your favorite words.
Mm-hmm.
The joke was that was you talking to, in a certain circumstance.
Oh, okay.
And so the clip is I don't care if anybody hears. That was fantastic.
Okay.
Or this is fantastic.
Oh. Okay, as though it's a bedroom joke.
Yes.
All right, so you can join whenever you're ready. It looks like Arbiter is good. Good to go.
Clickety accept.
Hey, it did.
Okay, cool. So, you first. Outside of being, plague-ridden and diseased and needing to be sent places where people aren't. How have you been?
I mean, you know this part, but I haven't really shared it on stream. There's been a lot of, congratulations, you're doing so well with when I took the job interview and when I got the job and I was doing training and the very horrible reality of my PTSD is one of the results is a fundamental lack of ability to handle stress anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if something is stress-free or nearly stress-free, I can manage it. So things like interviews are within my stress level capacity.
Yeah.
Things like starting training, those are things that I can do that's within my stress level capacity. But when I was doing the training, there was quizzes along the way, and you do the training, do the quizzes, and every quiz you'd have 2 shots at. And I was doing great, I usually do really well with on-the-job training, with computer-based training, things like that. And then there was one quiz where I was just having a really bad day. I just mentally, I was very, very unfocused. And I watched this material over and over and over again. I watched it for hours. And then I took the quiz and I bombed it. And then at the end of the quiz, they gave me the right answers. And I looked them over and then took the quiz again. And even though I had just looked at the right answers, I bombed it again. I was just mentally so out of it.
You didn't have them open?
Well, I mean, I could have opened another browser and gone in.
The only reason I highlight that. No. Let me. No. I did that on purpose. Part of what you're describing is that something like that didn't even occur to you.
Well, that's more of a how out of it I was that day.
Yes, but I can say, because I knew you before, that is something that is more prevalent now than it was before.
Oh yeah, it's one of those fundamental differences. I used to be a freaking genius. Now I feel like when I'm on a bad day, I feel like I've just lost 70 or 80 IQ points.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm saying that as a joke, but there is a lot of truth to that joking. And part of this is, in the past, I would have taken a screenshot, I would have cut and paste, copy and paste, I would have opened a new browser. I mean, all of these things, it's like, you just gave me the answers. I mean, really, I could have just memorized them. But, they just gave me the answers, I turn around and take the quiz again, and I fail it again. The same things. And I was just so dejected. It was too much. And I mentally collapsed. I mentally shut down for a couple weeks, and I stopped talking to the company. I stopped talking to everybody. Just when I talk about I'm hiding, it's both figuratively and literally. I'm figuratively hiding by not talking to anybody, not talking to family or friends, and I'm literally hiding because I don't leave the house. And so it's just the humiliation gets overwhelming, and it exacerbates it, and it goes longer and longer and longer until it's just not tenable. So I've never been fired from a job, but I've lost so many jobs since the PTSD. Stupid. It's horrible. And this is exactly how it happens every time. Something happens that just breaks me, and I get so humiliated that I start hiding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I don't have the luxury of hiding because I got someone in this house that will make me leave.
See, that's funny because the first time it ever happened, I was still married at the time, and a couple months ago, Kara was telling me about the only time she could ever remember me being cruel or mean, and it was when she tried to do something like that. Like, because the first time this happened where I just started hiding from the world and I was losing a job because of it, she tried to intervene, and I guess I just got very, very cruel about it. I didn't hit her or anything, but it was more along the lines of like, if you can't be here for me emotionally, then I want nothing to do with you. I mean, it was rough. It was bad. It was very, very cold.
Yeah.
But I didn't let her help me. I didn't let her help poke me and push me. It was, but that's the thing is, it's so mentally overwhelming.
Yeah, mentally overwhelming. That's a good description for it. The capacity to handle stress is just gone. And it's not just stress, it's also managing the sensory input.
Mm-hmm. It's just everything that happens becomes overwhelming. And this is layman Mike thinking here, but I can't help but think that that's one of the reasons why some of the common behavioral issues with PTSD tend to be things like lashing out, is because everything, just day-to-day stuff, becomes unmanageable, and the only thing left for people is defensiveness and aggressiveness. And it's like that dog who's super sick and you're just trying to pet it, and all it does is bite you.
Yeah, it does require a certain level of trying to think of the word, self-awareness maybe, but it's, if you can't force someone to want to get better.
Nor can you force someone to be able to handle stress.
Yeah. It's that old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Well, I still think that's an oversimplification.
Well, no, I mean, just that is an actual thing. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't actually you can tell the horse to get some water, and maybe it'll listen to you, maybe it won't, but you can't force it to drink. So
Correct. But
it's
if the person
that
with
concept of
PTSD
yeah, but I'm not talking about
is
actually
the
taking you.
horse.
I'm not actually telling them to take you somewhere. Saying, there's a certain point, there's a line, and it's true for everybody. It's just with people who have mental health difficulties, that line is much different for everybody else's line. That threshold of no, where you're gonna hit that panic, stress, lashing out stuff it's much lower than everybody else's.
Yeah.
Everybody else could they may be frustrated at you, like a kid. They can be frustrated at you for making them watch this particular Hall. There you go. A kid can be really mad at you because you make them watch,
Oh, you broke his relaxation time.
Well, maybe if these people would actually pick up after they chop, there's just wood sitting everywhere.
That's
And
because
food.
hauling isn't as high a priority as some things. If you want that to change, you can just change their priority to haul.
Let's see.
It's under work.
Looking at.
It has to be anything that's the same number or lower that's to the left. They'll do before they'll ever haul.
Yeah. Hey, you haul. Just change. Oh, did I change that one? Is that who I changed? Oh, work. Yes, Pablo. Pablo, my friend.
So the way I figured is I marked a whole bunch of stuff to be cut, and I figured it would save time if they cut it all before they started hauling stuff. Otherwise, they're going to cut, grab one, go back, come back out, cut, grab one, go back.
Dude, no. You're not going to just chop it down and then go sleep. You're going to take some wood. Then you can go sleep. Go sleep all you want, but at least take the wood you just chopped down. You won't have to grab anybody else's wood that they left behind.
You don't have to grab any else's wood.
Yeah, go ahead. You can quote that one if you want. And here, it's like, okay, Pablo, sorry. There's just berries. Somebody harvested berries and then just left it there.
Again, because a lot of things are set to be done. And until those things are all done, they're not going to go back and haul them.
That's fine. That's why I could manually say, hey, food sitting on the ground spoiling is a bad thing. Go grab that, then you go back to whatever you're prioritized to do. I guess if we lose some wood, because it's left lying on the ground,
it takes way longer to deteriorate
than food.
Long enough for us to lose it.
Yeah, medicines and things like that. There's a bunch of these right here that are technically ready to harvest, but I'm not designating because we still got a lot of trees to clear.
Yeah, we've got trees, we've got food, we've got other stuff. I don't think we're gonna. I mean, the rice is just about ready to be harvested. We're not gonna need to harvest berries and such.
So, I've just been. It's one of those I've been trying to manage, and there's just so many things that need done.
It's constantly your to-do list.
It's done saving, and just time is just so because I have so many things going on every day. If one thing starts disrupting, it disrupts the entire thing. So if I get started in the morning and something that I'm supposed to do first thing in the morning has a technical glitch that takes me an hour to get fixed before I can start, well, I've just lost that hour that I was supposed to be doing that stuff. So now my work hours have to either be pushed back or shortened. And then every other thing after that happens on a schedule.
Dang.
It's just this. I mean, and to give you an idea of my normal day. Now this is my day. Jealous Mike is probably going to think I'm bonkers. Okay, so we're just talking about a normal weekday because weekends are all bonkers because the family's home. And I forgot to say it earlier. Nautilus, thanks for that host.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
There's a bear. So most days,
A bear and a warg nearby.
yeah, most days of the week, my days will start around 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I try to get up earlier because I want to try to get to work earlier, or there's something I want to try to get done. But I'm finding that it doesn't really matter how early I get up. I'm really not into the working phase until after the kid goes to school. The kid leaves around 8:10. And she actually gets herself up and takes care of most of her things. She forgets some, which is why I'm around to remind her, hey, did you brush your teeth? The device will tell her, the device reminds her to put on deodorant. And it's set to remind her when to go to school, and there are other things that will be added to it. But so she's out the door by 8:15, and then is when I can really get started. I have set walk times for the dog, and one of them is 7:45. Next one is 10:45, and I put it at those times because generally after 10:45 till about 3:30, I am usually engaged, and there's different days of the week where I'm engaged in something where I'm not going to be able to just walk him. So yeah, so they're the dog walks that are throughout the day. Those are just random things that pop up that I just have to go take them out to do.
Okay.
So
I mean, this is still all pretty.
Yeah, so pretty mild. Okay, so then I have the kid and the family coming home. The wife will be home, so Art can be. I have a thing going off saying, "Get ready for Art." But honestly, there's no telling when she's gonna come home. Sometimes she's home by 4. Sometimes she's not home until almost 6. But it's kind of like a shot over the head of a shot over my bow. Hey, family's incoming. You need to
like mentally prepare.
Yeah, I have to mentally prepare. Exactly. Gotta prepare myself for them coming in. My wife is kind enough to send a text message saying I'm on my way, or she'll say home in 10, so that I'm not surprised when she comes in the door.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. That's the shot over my bow to say, okay, you need to check, where are you? What is presently happening that is that you need to, basically I need to see what have I gotten done so far, and what do I and how do I plan the rest of my evening based on that.
Okay.
And almost every time I get to that point in the day, I'm rarely ever where I need to be. So I'm already getting so 3:30 comes around and I'm already getting that reminder. You've already fallen behind and there's no way you're going to catch up.
Yeah.
And then the one goes off for the kid an hour later, and then there are the chores reminders for her and a dinner reminder for me, and then we always do dinner with family. Yeah, and then
this started so simple and so easy, and now I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I'm not even getting into the specifics of each day. I'm just trying to be broad. These are the things that happen every day. So
anything out of the ordinary, anything that comes up, anything that goes wrong.
And then then there's the reminders that to make sure the kid takes her melatonin, she starts getting ready for bed, and then she actually goes to bed. That's all 7:30 to 8:30. And at 9 o'clock, it's time to start getting ready for bed, and at 9:30, in bed.
Yeah.
So, and that's just on Mondays. Mondays are supposed to be my creative days, where I get up and I just work on writing projects, and then I do this stream for however long it goes, and then the plan then is to go do something around the house. Well, sometimes this stream goes a little long, but Mondays are one of those days where I have something right in the middle of the day that if I'm going to do some stuff before, I've got to get it all done. I got to get started right away, or I'm going to get to the stream and I'm just going to have to stop whatever it is I'm doing. And if I try to cram too much in, to try to get something done too close to the stream time, I always end up late, like today. Now today I just said I screw everything, and after the kid was out the door, I went back to bed.
Oh yeah, I mean, the flexibility to, I don't know about you, but I understand. For you require a lot more regimented schedule than I do. But for me, it's like without the flexibility to sleep when you need to, everything else fails.
Yeah, I don't have that flexibility because I have to be up in time to get the kid out the door. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, I have streams scheduled at or right around noon my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Mondays and Fridays, it's noon my time. Tuesdays, it's 11 my time. Monday's stream is not a stream that I can just roll out of bed and walk out here and start doing.
Nope.
It requires
mental.
None of the
stuff.
Yeah, all the streams are. It's a production. There's all kinds of things you have to set up. I have a reminder set off on Tuesday and Friday, even earlier, to make sure I know. I make sure I disengage from whatever it I'm doing, whatever I'm working on, be it my part-time job, be it creative work, be it some other project I'm doing or something around the house, to say, hey, you need to stop and start getting ready for your Nerd Stash stream, which is an Extra Life thing, or the Extra Life stream to the actual Extra Life channel. I have to start a minimum of 45 minutes early to make sure that I'm completely ready.
Everything and
yeah.
Testing. Yep. Yeah.
And with all of the things that I have to have on, it is inevitable that one of them will bark.
Yep. And that's talking about simple borks. That's not talking about like the car crap that you've had to deal with for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, the fact that the car ended up costing nothing this last time was just dumb luck.
A lifesaver.
Well, it was their stupid.
We had insects on this map.
Yeah, we've had them there for a while.
Oh.
Way over there.
Over by, we have some ambrosia there now too.
Yeah, and then there's shipwreck nearby. Yeah. So Monday, so I've got that right smack in the middle of the day, and then Wednesday evening I have to make sure dinner has to be ready to eat by 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Because Zoe and Art go to church on Wednesday. Art goes to work with the ministry to women who are trying to get out of the adult industry.
Yeah. And
Zoe goes to youth group. So that's why I have a Wednesday night stream, because they're not here. So Friday, dinner has to be ready pretty much the same time, although Art's been leaving later and later for her dance stuff. But that's just because she keeps trying to do too much. So again, I have to have dinner ready by set time. And if I don't have a plan for dinner, then Michelle has to do it when she gets home, and she's working full time with first graders, some of whom have issues going to the bathroom or hitting people or throwing things at people. She spends all day, literally, in some cases, dealing with crap. So,
and literally crap.
So, and then on top of that, I have a certain amount of work that I have to do. I'm going to assume you're going to handle this, Trader.
Yeah, I got it.
So there's a certain amount of work that I have to do every week that if I don't get it done, then I have to spend more time over the week. Now, my plan has always been to Mondays is creative day, Friday is creative day, Tuesday morning is work time, Wednesday up until the afternoon when I have my therapy at 3 o'clock is work time, and Thursday all day until the family comes home is work. And if I can stay on task on Tuesday and Wednesday enough to get enough done, then that's feasible. Sometimes I've also started when I first get up while I'm getting Zoe out the door, I'll do a cut. I can squeeze in 5 to 8 pages right there, and that's almost 10% of my weekly minimum just right there. Stop it. No. Stupid dog. I move him and he just creeps and creeps and creeps back until his feet are right under mine. Yeah. So if I don't get enough work done on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, then Thursday is a nightmare that I'm up. And if I actually can't work, if I can't, for some reason, I just can't because there's something goes wrong, something breaks, something is just that, like the connection's not working, I run into a horrible cut or whatever, or I just get up and not matter how hard I try, I can't wake up. I'm standing here staring at the computer, not realizing that I'm just standing here staring. And so,
mentally gone.
Yeah, Thursday comes and I'm supposed to be 40 pages into my 100-page quota, 50 pages in, and I'm supposed to try to get 50, 60, 70 pages done in one day, and it's just not feasible. So then I end up having to take part of Friday, which I have to squeeze around extra life, and then part of Saturday, which I don't ever want to do. This week, I also had to use Sunday. It's just, and then there's all these things that are piling up that I try. Like, I'm supposed to have it scheduled, like, every day. The main reason the reminder that Art is coming home is there is to remind me, look, you need to stop whatever you're doing and clean something right now. If you haven't done it already. Because if I don't keep up with certain things,
it just won't.
It won't happen. Now Zoe has some, and it's more just a matter of making sure she actually does them. She has a habit of saying she's going to go do it and then forgetting, and the next thing you know, it's bedtime and she hasn't done it. So she ends up having to do it in the morning. That's just a constant little thing. Anyone who has kids understands that.
Yeah.
But there are other things that just haven't been able to be done because I just lose my entire day trying to be productive and making no progress. So that 3:30 reminder, get ready for Art, it's that last little shot. You have anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half
to take care of this before she gets home.
Yes, so that something has been done. And I can't tell you how many times that time has come, and it's just yet another reminder that I've failed another day.
And so then
and there are so many little things that get dropped. Like, I want to be writing more, but if everything else is taking so much of my mental capacity, guess what I can't do?
Can't write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have pills that I'm supposed to take every day. I've got in the morning. I have 3 reminders on that device, basically progressively getting meaner and angrier at me because I wrote them that way to tell me, dude, you've got to take your medicine, because if you don't take it, then one of them is my depression medicine, and it's one of those that builds up in your system. If you miss a day, then it disrupts that.
Yeah.
This desk, there's just so much about this desk that needs to be cleaned. So yeah,
this past month and a half has been kind of rough.
Yeah, it has been. When the car just, if I have to start my day waking up early, driving Art to school, and then going to a mechanic shop, and then dealing with getting us home so Zoe can then go to school, I lose 3 hours of my day right there.
Oof.
If something, like, there was something absolutely borked on that other computer over there late last week. It was Thursday, actually, and so I was trying to get it fixed, and I just this is why I have to stop projects by a certain time each day, because I just get so hyper focused that before I realize it, hours have gone by. And so I was trying to fix that problem over there, and I don't actually remember what it was that fixed it.
Yeah.
That's just gone now. But by the time I finished it, it was already 10 o'clock in the morning. And so this week, I chose to give up Friday to work, and Saturday I'm caught up. It's saved. Saturday I was supposed to do some work, and I ended up only being able to do like one bit of audio because I had to. Basically this weekend my Extra Life team had a charity event, and so Friday all day I was doing that, and then Saturday morning somebody got sick, and so I tabbed in for 3 hours, and then I went back to bed. I woke up, and then I had to go to dog training at the mall.
Yeah.
And then I came home, and I tried to work, and I just couldn't stay on task. I got one done, and so I was like, all right, well, Sunday is it. I got to do 30 pages. I can do 30 pages and once we get home. And I thought I was making the smart choice when I took the cut length that I took, but it ended up being
too much.
The person being interviewed, she couldn't She couldn't say anything about the what she was trying to say. 14 minutes where the agent could barely get a word in edgewise because I think the woman was also hard of hearing. So she would just talk and talk and talk, and she couldn't say 3 or 4 words straight without repeating it. It was the closest I've ever come to trying to transcribe Porky Pig. And
I want to laugh, but I don't know whether this was a disability or whether it was just...
This is the closest I've come. This is the closest I've come to it. And see, this is that fine line. If we can determine that that's actually what's going on, then we are allowed, as far as I remember, we are allowed to not transcribe every single stutter of a word of a phrase. We can just listen to get the gist of it, and then just write that, and then you put something in the...
If it's a disability or something like
that. Yeah, you put something in this little box that we have to fill in some extra information, and we could say this is a person with a stuttering disability, right? It's an actual disability, but we can't make that determination unless we know for a fact. Like, we can look at it and say, or it's stated in the thing that this person will have it. The statements will be stuttered because this person has a stutter. Not I'm nervous stuttering. And frankly, I came so close to sending it back in and saying, I need to know if this is one of those cuts where I'm allowed to just summarize what she says, or if this is just, this person is so absolutely nervous, scared that she's going to be held accountable for this accident, that she is doing everything she can to make sure that she's understood. And in the process, she's confusing herself, trying to say things and then accidentally saying things and then having to fix it and go.
Oh, that sounds so miserable.
And basically the accident was she was driving in rain, hit a pothole, which caused her car to skip a little, hit train tracks, and the change in metal surface on the train tracks caused her to lose control of the car. It spun. It hit the sidewalk, which the momentum of it sent it bouncing back across the road. It's spinning in a complete 360 to where it was facing the oncoming traffic, and she slammed into a car.
Yeah.
Now, she wasn't speeding. She was actually going well under the speed limit. So really, it's the city's fault because that pothole's there. If it's big enough that it's disrupting a car that's going slower than the speed limit in the rain, and it was covered in water, so she couldn't even see it. Oh, that's not going to go well. Oh, yeah, but it's raining. Yeah. So one way or the city was accusing her. Hey, Setherizer, welcome in. How are you doing? The Rimworld is going okay. I'm talking right now, so he's doing most of the playing. He's doing most of the playing. Just talking about how difficult it's been lately dealing with our collective issues. So
maybe that's part of what Monday is a place for us to
I just
share the struggle.
When I got to the end of that thing, it was almost midnight last night, and I was so brain dead that I just couldn't. I ended up actually not going to bed till almost 1 o'clock because I was trying to fix something. Hey, Tenacious T, welcome in.
Howdy.
Welcome into the PTSD talk show, and a little bit of Rimworld in the process. But yeah, I was so mentally battered after trying to describe that woman, and I don't even think English was her first language. But she had a good enough grasp of it that she didn't need an interpreter, let's say.
Yeah.
There were just these little hints in terms of conjugation, tenses of words that you could tell, okay, this is a person who came to English later in life. But she's clearly got a grasp of it now, so that's not a problem. But, oh my word. It was so draining. that I got, and then I was trying to wrap something up, and it took me an hour to wrap it up. And in the end, I submitted it, but there was an error in the thing. So all of that work that I did means it's not gonna. I'm not even gonna get paid for it until it was supposed to count towards this week, which is the whole reason I was trying to get it done. But it ended up being an error in the code, so they didn't get processed in time. So it's not going to count until next week.
That's too bad.
No, you say that, but that means I'm now 14 pages into this week.
Okay.
But
okay, so not too bad.
I just felt like I'm running myself. I felt like a hamster. And so I just messaged them, and I already have a pass weekend for next week, and I think the week after is a holiday exemption week. So, and all that means is I can do work, but I'm not required to hit 100.
Yeah.
So that pressure is gone. And I just told them, look, I am exhausted. I'm mentally worn out, and I feel like I'm losing ground here, and I need to use one of my 2 remaining this week. So I've basically got 3 weeks in a row here where I don't have to hit the minimum.
Okay.
And with Extra Life next week and my family coming to visit next week, I'm going to be very glad when November 12th comes, because at that point, all of these things that are happening all at once are going to be over.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, when I woke up today for the first time in a while, I just went back to bed. Can you remember the last time I did that?
I don't really track your sleeping habits.
But generally, I tell you because we talk enough.
True.
Like this has been so rough that even my daughter could tell because I was still wearing pajamas. I didn't get dressed.
Yeah.
I usually get dressed for work. I have clothes that I wear that I bring over here so that I can be in my work, and I didn't even bother that. And you understand this too, that thing that Bilbo says in the first Lord of the Rings movie, like bread, like butter, spread 2 little butters, spread 2 over bread. Yeah, it was. I'm having a hard time. I feel like I'm stuttering a lot now, saying a lot of verbal tics and things because I'm having a hard time stringing sentences together right now.
You are mentally out of it.
And I was so excited that the weather changed. I was like, oh yes, I can go back to running in the morning. I have yet to be able to get myself to bed on time so that I can actually get up in the morning and run before the kid gets up.
Nope.
I love running at 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I love running. I run so fast at that temperature.
Oh yeah, because it's when you first start, it's chilly.
Oh yeah, it's brisk.
Your body temp jumps from the running, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely perfect because it helps regulate your temperature so you're not overheating. You can go so much longer.
This is gonna sound terrible though, but as soon as the outside temp gets below like 67 or 68 and I'm running, as comfortable as it is overall, my nipples get really, really sore. And it hurts.
Ew.
Why? What's wrong with nipples?
Well, I suppose nothing, but whatever. I generally, the only time I ever have issues with my nipples when I'm running is when I'm doing the marathons because they get so tender.
You just need to get one of those you can use same idea as when you for not calluses, the same thing that you use for blisters. What is it? Moleskin? Yeah, just a little bit of moleskin. Put it there, and then instead of rubbing against your chest, it's rubbing against
Great.
your
Our doctor's the one that got hurt.
Yeah, but our other guy, Phil, is not too bad. He's kind of a medic.
I'm gonna have him go tend him.
First, though, I want to change everybody's medical from the best possible to herbal.
Yeah, you do that.
I don't want us to lose our.
It's thank you, Tenacious, but that's kind of why we have this stream, so we can talk about it, be frank and open about it in an environment. Okay, so this is something else that's been going on, and you and I need to have a conversation about. I want to do this on stream. My wife is teaching a course on safe people, being a safe person, which a safe person is someone who people feel safe around to open up.
Yeah.
Yes, Tenacious, pasties would work. Some people will take... honestly, there are things that help with nipple leakage for breastfeeding women. Those actually are yeah, those things are great. Just put... You can also put Vaseline on. So, yeah, but for the marathon runners, if you're cold...
That rubs off.
Not as much as you think.
Okay. I mean,
And
moleskin really, pasties or moleskin, the same sorts of ways that you would deal with blisters work.
Yeah, those are the best options. But yeah, so the thing is, the study is about how to be a person, how to be a safe person, so that other people will feel safe around you.
Mm-hmm.
They will feel that they're willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do here. We want this. We basically said we want this kind of. I just noticed the game isn't sitting quite right. We want this place to be a space where people can come and
talk about how garbage crappy their life is right now.
Yeah, in ways that they won't around other people.
Yeah.
Because and we hope that other people who listen will gain an understanding of what it's like.
I didn't realize it. So it was a couple of years after Afghanistan before I was ever diagnosed with PTSD.
Yeah, it was.
And before that happened, I started feeling very guilty calling because I used to call my brothers and my sister more often and my parents.
Yeah.
But I started feeling very guilty about how often I was just complaining about bad things happening, like how rough everything was, how hard of a time I was having, like relationship problems, like everything. I started feeling really guilty calling and talking to people because everything I had to say was all so negative.
Mm-hmm.
It was all so bad. And so this was, keep in mind, this was still very, our PTSD stream. I have the timer is set to the last, before, I don't know. We've changed times a few times.
Yeah, what it was before when we started it too.
Yeah. But so I started feeling really guilty and I stopped talking to people. Because I didn't want to be a burden on them. And so now, fast forward years and years later, I understand that if you can find somebody that understands that you can just open up to, it's like, it doesn't matter if you've vented, it doesn't matter if you've complained, for the past 30 times you've talked to them, they're always going to be a safe ear.
Yeah. There's that. And a lot of people don't understand the little things. They're just little things that you can do that can just absolutely ruin a safe space. It's so easy to just it takes just a little, the wrong word, the wrong response. Platitudes are the worst, because platitudes are they're like giving money as opposed to giving your time.
It feels dismissive.
Yes, it's I'm going to say something so that I feel good about that I said something to you, but I'm not actually going to think about what I said and the effect that it's going to have on you. And Christians are the worst at this. Oh my word. They'll just say, well, you're just not praying enough, or you need to have more faith, or things like that. Which so they think they're helping, and they're not. the church that we're in now is actually surprised me a lot with how particularly the leadership, not so much the people in our class, although they've been very good for me in understanding that I can't project my voices anymore, and I stutter when I speak, and not to look at me. So the class has really adapted to help me feel comfortable and safe there. But that being said, I would not describe most of them as a safe person who I would feel safe sharing as much as I share with, or here, or even more with my wife. It's, yeah. So the course is supposed to be about how can you identify what a safe person is and what an unsafe person is. Connection timed out.
It's because, so the same thing that it crashed last time, the game crashed, I identified what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
It was me trying to mess with the default clothing styles, food menus, like the personal restrictions on the colonists. It was me changing those and messing with it that made it crash. So I'm just going to do that before you
come back in.
Join before you come in. Yeah.
So
I'll let you know when it's good to go.
But here's the trick to that book. The idea is you're supposed to learn what it is about you that is unsafe for other people, that makes other people not feel safe and willing to be vulnerable around you.
Yeah, so it's very, very central. It's not.
Yes, and the issue.
Here's how you're doing things wrong and hurting others,
or even so, or how to do things right.
Okay.
Which you might not have thought about. So, as an example, automatically assuming for a person what pronoun, based on either what you see as a name, what you hear for a voice, or what you see in terms of what they present to you when you actually physically, like visually, can see them. An assumption of pronoun. Some people will not be comfortable with the binary him, her, he, she. Some people are. Some people aren't. And your presumption of the pronoun, the proper pronoun, that makes people feel uncomfortable. Now, I think I'd say it's even worse when once you know, you just don't. You just keep doing it.
Now, there are some people that do that.
There's in the world that I've grown up in. Oh yeah, that too. But in the world that I grew up in, it was constant. Like, I'm not going to... I disagree with your choices. I disagree, so I will not give you the respect of referring to you the way you want to be referred. That's like telling someone, I don't like your name. I'm going to call you what I want, what I think you should be called. Yeah. So that's a very specific example of how you can suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute. Some people don't even think about it. I didn't even think about that. So
it's very common when people that leads into like the pet names thing. It's both on a personal level and on a general level. There's an entire generation that you were taught to call young women certain things. Like, I can't even think of what they are, but
or just saying, "Hey guys," to a room full of mixed gender.
Yeah. Some people are fine. A lot of people are fine with it, but some people, it really gets to them.
Yeah. And you may not realize it, but your attempt to not use something that specific when you're referring to a room that's potentially filled with at least the binary, but potentially with more, your effort to avoid using those specific terms like that, like "hey guys," that someone's going to notice that. Someone's going to realize. They may not notice it at first, but they may see a pattern of, wait a minute, I have never actually heard this person use whatever.
Yeah.
And see, that's an example of what this course is trying to teach them, is how can you realize, opening your eyes so you realize those little ways that you make people feel unsafe so that you can fix those. And she's been doing this for 2 weeks. This week it was much more obvious than last week. She actually, midway through the class, had to stop and change the wording of the questions on her slides to basically, she was trying to not allow people to talk about what they saw as unsafe in other people. And they just could not do it. One person I could hear, as soon as she made that clear, just stopped contributing at all.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing because nobody wants to hear about how they're hurting others. If you think you're a good person, if you think that you're a safe person, if you think that you're a caring person, and somebody says, okay, but these things that you're doing hurt others, for some reason, we're not wired to take that well.
Yeah, it's a defensiveness that's in there. And I just think that for me, between that and the boundaries thing, it is so eye-opening, and how we just, generally speaking, are just so bad about how we interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is internet, this is in person, this is work, this is family, this is friends, this is casual. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These two, the understanding the concept of boundaries and the concept of being a safe person, just it's really, really eye-opening. And I always have to caveat it with, this study is done from a Christian perspective, but it's done by two secularly trained psychologists and mental health professionals. And
yeah.
I've been watching the videos with Art, and
you should be able to join now.
Cool. The videos that they
doesn't make any problems. It's deleting.
Okay.
Deleting the ones that come with preset.
Yeah.
A problem.
But yeah, I've been watching the videos with Art, and these two are really, really good about presenting this in a way that can be shared in any environment.
Nice.
Even if when you read the book, you'll get the idea. Like, okay, these two are coming from a very specific religious background and concept of this, but as you go into when you actually dig into the lessons and watch the videos that they've done, the one that was yesterday, that guy was it was so amazing to watch how well he did that lesson without ever once requiring it to be done in a religious setting. Well,
see, and there's ways to do that. I mean, your and I friendship, you and I being friends is a very good example of how one person, like a person of faith and a person of no faith, they can be friends. They can be good friends. It's just you have to be able to talk in ways that don't diminish the other person's point of view.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have seen me post it in here all the time, that this is a safe space. I just posted it a while ago. The bot posts it sometimes too. Now, the bot's being a little somehow today. It's that link is a good place to go, but when it comes down to it, the best way you can make a place be a safe space is by focusing on yourself and making yourself a safe person. And I'm more acutely aware of it now than I was before, because I talked about it before. This was about a month ago now. I talked before, well, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't remember when it was we did that. It was it was the Monday after TwitchCon. I talked about my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Now, and I described in there the feelings of vulnerability that I had and the reaction that I had to it, and how I basically buried it to protect myself. And at this time around, the trauma that happened, it happened to me as an adult, and I could tell, I knew that burying it was unhealthy. That didn't make it any easier to talk about it or share it, but
no.
It makes you more aware when you're suddenly feeling it. It makes you more aware of how people who are suffering from a mental health difficulty, they have a mental health disorder, they've experienced some trauma, or they are from they are they are of a group, pick your group that has been overly, I guess you'd say, I wouldn't say traumatized, but
Pained, hurt.
yeah,
victimized.
because of who they are. Yeah, but
Yeah.
whatever that group is, I'm just so more aware of it now, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody that they go through, trauma
But
to
you
be able to
wish more
understand it.
people- You wish more people could understand it. You just don't wish what that would take.
Yeah, that there are ways for people to understand that feeling and be a person that someone who is trapped in that vulnerable state can open up to and feel safe around without actually going through the trauma yourself.
Yeah.
But there are so many ways you could be traumatized that it's easier than you think to speak to people who don't think that they've been traumatized.
Yeah.
When you expand the definition and realize it can be something as simple as how you were raised, how safe was your home, how vulnerable did you feel there, even if you were physically taken care of, you were provided for, you didn't worry about food and clothing, you got to go to school, whatever. You could have been.
But did you hide in your room all the time? If you were home, were you in your room playing games, reading?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I
Were you interacting with people around you, or were you isolated from them?
I experienced trauma, but separate from that, I had issues feeling safe at home, and some of that was just, I blame the background, the upbringing that my parents went through, and the religious background, and how poorly it handled this problem in the past. It handled dealing with this particular issue in the past. I blame a lot of it on that, but it's usually never just one thing that causes it. And I was thinking about trolls this weekend because we were doing the Extra Life, 60-hour marathon for Nerd Stash, and we inevitably got some trolls that came in, and we tended to just ignore them. Although Link used the Triforce, he had an absolutely brilliant response. He's so troll to troll. It was so. The guy came in and says, "Wow, you are horribly bad at being a gamer." And Link reached over. He saw it before we could delete it and ban the guy. And Link reached over and says, "Wow, you are horribly bad at being a viewer," and then banned him. It's like, that was great.
Yeah.
We all laughed at that, but I mean, even them, if you think about that, most of the time, even the ones who say they're just doing it for fun, there's something hurting there.
Yeah,
There's something
they are-
hurting there.
The people who do the most trolling, the people, the bullies, whomever, they're going through the worst. They're going through horrible stuff themselves, and just either they don't recognize it, or they do recognize it and can't handle it, or they think they're handling it. It's just so many different varieties of what's causing it, and invariably, though, it stems from they themselves have been traumatized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't want. There's a topic that I don't want to go into, but you're right.
Yeah.
But my wife puts it best: hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
I don't know where she got that from. I know it's not hers originally, but hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And they lash out at things. In that study. Oh, hang on, they have the papers.
Oh, okay.
There's a description of the 3 types of unsafe people. And when I was reading one of them, I was like, that's a troll. That's a troll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here they are. They're abandoners, critics, and irresponsibles.
I'm an abandoner.
Abandoners are people who start a relationship but can't stick with it. They often leave when you need them most. The authors say this type of person has typically been abandoned themselves at some point, are afraid of getting too close, and prefer shallow relationships. Others are simply perfectionists and leave people in whom they find faults. So that's an abandoner.
Mm-hmm.
A critic. Individuals are judgmental without being caring, as opposed to you care for someone and so you're trying to help them.
Yeah.
This is just I judge you. I see myself as better than you, and I'm going to tell you this. They have no room for grace or forgiveness, adding that critics often jump on doctrinal and ethical bandwagons are now more focused on pointing out others' errors than they are with making real connections with people. They can make you feel guilt-ridden and full of anxiety. For me, that's the category of the three. The third one is irresponsibles. That's the category that describes best bullies and trolls.
Yeah, I think.
Now, again, I'll separate. You can have a troll moment where you're having fun as a person with someone that you know. I mean, we used to just call it pranking, but
or teasing.
Teasing, yeah, but with someone, tease them in a way. My wife teases me all the time because she knows how to do it in a way that I'm not going to feel actually hurt by it. See, that's different. Has my daughter and my wife trolled me on occasion? Yes,
it's like tickling somebody.
Yeah.
Unless they have an aversion to tickling, it's you're putting somebody through something unpleasant, but in an intimate manner.
Yeah. So
in a positively intimate manner.
And I would say that Link, when he had that response to that troll, that was brilliant trolling, because it was highlighting it. It wasn't judgmental. It was, I'm going to tell you that there's something wrong with what you're doing by doing to you what you just did to me, and hopefully you'll realize it, but probably you won't. And that's why I liked it so much that I clipped it.
Okay.
So
there's also an example of I think we may feel, going back to the balance of what makes a safe person. You may think that you're safe, you may think that you're caring, but if you're unintentionally doing these things that hurt somebody, there's also a time when that happens when various demographics come together. I'm going to use a very safe space reference to this. I'm going to use a gaming reference. In World of Warcraft, for example, there's an area that is a PvP, a player versus player area, called the Gurubashi Arena. And the idea is you go there, and every 3 hours, there's a non-player character that puts down a loot chest. And in the arena, if anybody who's in the arena is fair game. It's all player versus player. It's not, Horde versus Alliance. It's just everybody who's there is fair game. It's free for all, essentially. And whoever survives, whoever lives, makes it to the end, gets what's in the loot box. Now, the arena is in it's in an area that has, like a mid-level player. You're not max level. You're only level like 40, maybe up to 50 max.
It's in Shatterhorn, isn't that? Whatever that jungle is down there where Booty Bay was.
Stranglethorn.
Stranglethorn, that's it.
Yeah, Stranglethorn Vale.
That's that teen to 20s, actually, 20s to mid 20s area, level wise.
This arena, it's 40 to 50 in vanilla, which is so I've been
vanilla, yeah.
Classic, which is very similar to vanilla.
Yeah, they respect those levels later.
40s. Yeah. The gear that drops in the chest matches the level of that area. The quest, it's everything about it. The area that it's in, the gear that you get from the chest, everything about it says, mid 40s. And so when I was going in there, and there's a quest line that I didn't look at the level on the quest line. I didn't look to see what level it indicated the quest line was for, but there's a quest line for you to win 12 of these arenas, and it gives you a piece of gear if you win 12 of these all-out combats. And for me, I was like, this piece of gear is perfect. It's great for me as a PvE, not player versus player, but just regular, fighting monsters in groups. It's great for me as a tank. I'm the person who's supposed to take all the damage. This trinket, this piece of gear is exactly what I need. And then I started seeing as I was doing this, I started seeing max level characters in there fighting, and I was getting pissed, and I thought that they were trolling us lower level people. I was like, they're just doing this to see us squirm. They're doing it to hurt us. And I went and I found like some of the guild management, the guild officers for the guilds that they belonged to, And I talked to them about it, and I was like, why does the guild encourage trolls? Like, why is this happening? Why are they doing that? And they pointed out that same trinket is also one of the best player versus player trinkets, pieces of gear that you can get in the game. That even though the arena is, that mid-level, that mid-40s, the arena is that mid-level, the stuff that drops from the chest is that mid-level, that 12-win quest reward is one of the best things in the game for player versus player. And so I thought that there was just these people trolling us. I thought that there were these max level people just being buttholes. And I was fighting it in chat. I was calling them out. I was doing like some counter trolling stuff. And it was just a lack of understanding on my part. So I thought that they were being trolls from an perspective of ignorance.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have multiple demographics meeting up, you may see if culturally something is appropriate, where for one group, like in treating each other, it's a fine line between if these multiple cultures meet together, is that still trolling, or is that still bullying, or is that acceptable? It becomes a fine line when we start diversity mixed in.
It honestly depends on the point of view of the target.
Yep.
Something may be culturally appropriate in one culture, but if the other
still hurts,
and that's really what it comes down to. If it hurts, then it's not appropriate.
Now, for me, as I perceived myself and the other people that were the same level as me there, I perceived myself as a victim, and so I felt victimized.
Yeah.
And what they were doing, it hurt. They prevented me from getting something I needed, and I thought that they were just doing it to hurt me. As soon as I understood that there was like the validity behind what they were doing, that it wasn't being trolling, I kind of sucked it up and
dealt with it.
Get over that sensation of victimhood, but that's personal. It was still a hurtful thing, and it still hurts people.
But think about the same circumstance with people who aren't willing to step back and look at that, do that introspection. They don't think that they have a problem. They think that everybody else has a problem,
and they become the troll.
The example that Art shared with me in the class was this: you go to a setting. Maybe it's a work thing or whatever, and you have a bunch of people there who are talking about their problems that they have. Being honest and vulnerable, saying this is something I struggle with, and everyone goes around the room and shares something, and then you get to the last person, and not the last person, some person in the circle who just says, "I don't have anything to mention." Just basically saying, "I'm perfect. I don't have any problems." The rest of that, the discussion just shut down because everyone.
I'm better than you.
It does, yeah. He basically said, "I am better than you, and I'm going to say it in front of you, and what are you going to do?" That's you could say that's a version of trolling. It's a version of bullying. It's saving, but at
the end of the day, it's just unsafe behavior.
It's extremely unsafe behavior. So, hey, look, we have some curvy unicorns.
Emotionally unsafe.
Yeah. Well, and by being that person, if you constantly are that kind of person to people, then you're in fact being a bully. Yeah. You're being abusive.
It becomes emotional abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you begs the question: what is it? What is it that's so wrong, so painful for you that you have to unleash?
You can't see, you can't look at, you can't.
Yeah. No, and the last group called the irresponsibles. They don't take care of their own lives very well. They're like grown-up children. They don't think about the consequences of their actions, don't follow through on commitments, and they're generally just flaky. They're people with whom you will come to resent after giving them an endless number of chances. You'll find yourself often making excuses for them. So those are the three types of unsafe people: abandoners, critics, and irresponsibles. And something that was said in the video that really, really stood out was talking about like the comparisons of this is an unsafe person versus this is a safe person.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I remember clearly was an unsafe person demands respect, whereas a safe person earns it. And when Art was going through the video, she just looked over at me and she's like, "That rings a bell. That resonates, doesn't it?" And I'm like, you just described the problem with the environment, the world, the rank structure that I lived in.
Yeah.
You know, they just demanded it because of something that somebody has granted. That somebody has granted them the ability to wear their rank, a certain rank, and so they just demand respect because of that. So, and I've said this a lot, and it's just a requote of somebody else. I don't remember at this point who, but you know,
the military is
well, not the military. This just applies to everybody. It says if you want to see if you want to really find the measure of a person, you're not going to find it in a dinner date, in a job interview, whatever, because that's
you'll find it being their subordinate, being working for them.
Yeah, it's because enough people can fake being a safe person for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the long picture. But if you only have 30 minutes, if the opportunity comes to see how they interact with people, watch how they interact with people that they perceive to be below them, not people they perceive to be their equals or their betters. They will treat equals and betters respectfully because they want to get something from them.
One of the ways I identify, phrases, things like kind person or caring or compassionate person, that phrase can mean two completely different things to two different people. And so in the past, whenever I've been dating, that's a particular feature that's important to me in the people that I bring close to me.
Yeah.
The people that are compassionate, caring, safe. And one of the ways that I like doing that is I pay attention to, let's say we're out on a date at a restaurant, how they communicate with the servers. Is like I pay attention to intentionally pay attention to that sort of stuff, because it's how they're going to treat you once they're in an intimate relationship and they don't see you as
an equal. Yeah, I know people who they will not tip unless, without being asked, the server provides a certain amount of refills.
Yeah, and that sort of interaction with other people, that will apply to everybody else in their life at some point or another. They will treat everybody else in their life in a similar fashion at some point or another.
And one of the biggest issues I have with the world that we came from was that the concept of the servant leader just didn't exist.
No.
I've heard all the talk of how that they were doing this that you didn't see. Like, well, that's the problem. We didn't see it.
Yeah,
you can
lead somebody if you're not visible in what you're doing for them, with them, for them. As
far as I'm concerned, you just said that they did that. No,
there's no leadership in doing hidden things. It's not that there's not value in doing hidden things. It's there's no leadership in doing things hidden.
Yeah, they need that's the concept of what's the word? Transparency.
Yeah.
If you want us to understand what it is you're doing for us, we have to see it. If we don't see it, then did it happen?
Yeah, I mean, things can definitely still be of value. There's plenty of biblical references, at least for people of faith. And again, I am not a person of faith, but there's plenty of biblical references for people of faith of things being done, on the down low or quietly or unseen. A lot of it comes down to fighting pride. But just because there's value there doesn't make it good leadership.
Yeah. I mean, to go on the example you were talking about, the religious leaders of the time, when however you want to refer to him, the teacher, the prophet, the man we call Jesus, however you want to refer to them, the religious leaders at that time were constantly talking about the things that they did out of sight. And they were just talking about them, and the people never saw it. So when somebody came along who wasn't living in the shadows and was doing all the stuff that he said he was going to do right in front of them, is it any wonder that the people turned to him? Because suddenly you had this leader who was walking around, first off, touching the untouchables, going to the other. You know, it really resonates with me, especially now that I'm in a category of other. That it really resonates how much. Yeah, it does change your perspective. It opens your eyes to what things actually are. And when you see someone acknowledging through their teaching or with their leadership that in a religious setting, that the Bible is about social justice, it's about a lot of things, but it is at its core the thing about social justice. And if you think about the life of the teacher, the prophet, the whatever, Jesus, that's what he was doing. He was going to all the people that everybody was ignoring, touching unclean people, going to the Gentiles, the other, and he was ministering where they were, and intentionally going places where he knew he would run into them, because no one else would do it. The religious leaders were hiding in their temples. So, to bring that all the way back around, I don't trust a leader that tells me that they're doing things for me. I trust leaders who show me that they're doing.
When you see them doing those things, you trust that those things are being done.
Yeah. Hey, come on, Jet.
It's one of those, they'll prepare for a while and then assault.
That's a perfect name for that hairdo.
Jet? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I just remember when she was watching the video over there, and I heard that one go off, and I was like, I know those people.
Like, oh.
I know those people.
Sounds so familiar.
And I butted heads. I butted heads with the leadership down at my level all the time, because I disliked how much they asked their airmen, the people that they were charged with taking care of, how much they would put on them that they wouldn't then do themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, you're asking them to work these ridiculous shifts. And then obviously there are requirements that you have to be at things that mean that you will not always be able to be there during their shifts. I get that. But you can at least modify what you're doing so that you can. The commander that I had the most respect for at the unit that we were in was...
I knew that's where this was going, because I had the same thought.
Oh, but let's see, which name do you think I'm going to go for?
I don't remember the name, but the guy came up, he stood up in front of everybody and said, this is what the regulations say. This practice that everybody always does that sucks for everybody is BS, and it's not going to happen. And he would come in and just stop and say hello.
Yeah, that was Gomez.
Oh, I don't remember this.
Yeah, no, that's Jaime Gomez. He was the commander when we split units. Eventually, he was the one. He was when we were well over 1,500 or something like that, strong unit. And then they split us up in the group and stuff. The one right before him, Colonel Dixon, he was the one that came right after I got there, because there was the female, I can't remember her name. She was the one that was the runner. She was the runner. She was the one that demanded everybody run like a marathon, which is not realistic. So,
leadership holding everybody else to their standards isn't very good.
Yeah, but the thing I liked about Colonel Dixon, which is why I respected his leadership so much, was, and actually, no, I think you were referring to Colonel Carey.
I think I probably was.
Yeah, Colonel Carey.
Colonel Carey, the woman?
No, Colonel Carey he came after Gomez.
Okay.
He was the nice one. He was the one that said, "Look, joint side. You either let my airmen go to remedial PT, you let them go for 3, 4, 5 hours a week, or you lose them 40 hours a week. I'm taking them away." That that's I think what that definitely sounds like Colonel Carey. But Colonel Dixon, what he did, nobody realized he did this, because he didn't talk about it.
He
Yeah.
would always come in on shift. He would just show up and say hello.
Yeah, not that too. But you know what he did to be able to do that? He set down a policy for himself in his unit, and he made it clear to the people above him who he had to have meetings with during the day. It's like, we need to do all of these in the morning because I am coming in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, so I can spend half of the night shift with my airmen who work at night.
Yeah.
And he would come and he would sit in a room, and he would just sit there and let people come in for an hour, up to an hour, sometimes 2 hours, to just complain to him about the things that he wouldn't hear about through the chain.
Yeah.
That, for me, that was the definition of a good leader right there.
Yeah, a leader. Yeah, it's the general who leads from the command post back home versus the general who leads at the. You don't even have to be at the front lines, but leads from amongst the group. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's.
We all realize that
both points.
Yeah, we all realize that the leader is going to have to be invisible for some of the day because he's got responsibilities that are put upon him that he can't get out of. But when he doesn't have to be, and he makes a point of coming down to your level, that just and asking you, what can I do for you, and then actually doing it.
That's the administrative job. That's the managerial, the administrative. But to call yourself a leader, you have to be a part of people that you're leading. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's been 2 hours, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this stream. And you said you needed a break, so
I do.
Everybody,
bio and food, and
we'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you. We'll see you throughout the week.
Yeah, I may be turning around and streaming.
That is exactly.
Yeah.
That's fine. I have stuff actually I have to work on the computer and around the house, so I may hang in Discord with you.
Okay.
So
cool.
So everybody say goodbye, Jealous Mike.
Bye, Jealous Mike. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm glad I was here.
Yes, I'm glad. We're glad you were here too. It was nice to have you back. Right. I'll see you in a little bit.
Bye.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. I like to save a replay just because it doesn't really matter, but okay. So that's not what I asked you to do. Anyway, so thanks. It's been nice. I was very glad that we could get Charles Mike back on today. For me, that was the big deal. I wanted to get him back into the swing of things because I know he's been feeling a bit, besides under the weather, but I wanted to get him back and we could do something that he could, have a good time doing and when you get to the end of it and feel like, yeah, that was good. That was a good accomplishment for the day. So thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. I will be back next on this stream. I mean, you may hear me throughout the week. Chalice Mike is going to be streaming to this channel throughout the week because he wants people to be able to donate bits and do subs and stuff to his, that they could then go to his Extra Life page, but also he's doing Twitch Toolkit. And if you donate, then he gives you coins, so then you can take part in the game and affect things that happen. Yeah, thank you, Sethrizer. I appreciate you lurking and coming and hanging out. I'm sure I'll see you in a fluffy stream sometime this week. So you can watch for Jealous Mike to be on this channel throughout the week. I will be back. The next stream I do on this channel is Wednesday evenings. It's my level head, bang my head against the wall for your entertainment stream. And I will be doing the Nerd Stash stream. Let me do a shout out for them. The Nerd Stash tomorrow at 12 Eastern. I'll be continuing my playthrough of Final Fantasy 12. And then on Friday, of course, I will be on the Extra Life for Kids channel, continuing my retro playthrough of Sword of Vermilion. That will be the last stream I do for Extra Life wise before the big event, which is, I'm still trying to figure out the time. I think it's going to start at 10 my time, so 10 Central, 11 Eastern. I got to figure that out, but so hope to see some of you there. I'll be playing Final Fantasy 7 because you guys got me over that 2,000. You see the $2,100 limit right there raised? That means I have to dye my hair blue, that blue back there, and I have to play Final Fantasy 7 without complaining. And if we get to 2,500, the entire stream will be done by a special guest hero. So we'll see. We're creeping closer. I didn't think we'd get even as close as we are, but wow, we're getting there. So thanks for hanging out. Setherizer for hanging out. Nautilus Knots for that host earlier. Tenacious T for popping in and taking part in the discussion. Cellist Mike, we always appreciate you. Scarbrand, thank you for being here when I was having all the technical problems. And Pixel Sharks, thank you for that resub. And we will catch you guys all next time. Bye. Really? You just had... And it muted my mic so you didn't hear me say, really? You just had to do that? I really hope this update to Stream Puppy comes soon. Catch you next time.